Welcome to the Deep Dive. This time you've given us a really fascinating collection of articles and video transcripts about Stevie Nicks,
Oh, yeah.
all focusing on the men in her life
Okay.
and how those relationships influence her music.
Interesting.
Some of these names you'll know right away.
Right.
Others, maybe not so much.
Okay.
But what I think is going to be really cool is that we're going to be able to see how each one left their mark
Yeah.
on the music that we know and love.
It's interesting how some artists' personal lives seem totally separate from their art.
Right.
But with Stevie Nicks,
Yeah,
it's all kind of interwoven.
totally.
You know, her music really does become this intimate diary, reflecting the joys and heartbreaks
Yeah.
of a woman who just loved intensely and lived life on her own terms.
Exactly. And I feel like there's no better place to start than with Lindsay Buckingham, right?
Yeah.
He's the high school sweetheart who became her musical partner.
Right.
I mean, we all know that is a recipe for some serious creative energy, but also probably a whole lot of drama.
Absolutely. I mean, just picture this.
Yeah.
They meet at Menlo Atherton High School in California.
Okay.
They even perform together at a school function.
Wow.
Talk about a meet cute for the rock and roll history books.
Totally.
But it's with their band Fritz disbanding
Right.
that their personal and musical partnership really deepens.
Okay.
They record Buckingham Nicks in '73.
Yeah.
And while it wasn't a commercial hit,
Right.
it did catch the ear of Mick Fleetwood, which is a pretty big deal.
Huge deal,
Yeah.
which leads them to joining Fleetwood Mac in '75,
Exactly.
which is huge EE,
Yes.
but definitely not without its pressures.
Right.
I mean, the relationship starts falling apart while recording Rumors.
Oh, of course.
But,
Yeah.
you know, in a way, that's what makes it so iconic.
100%. I mean, that raw emotion
Yeah.
pouring out of both of them fueled some of the most powerful songs ever written.
Totally.
Think about Nick's dreams.
Yeah.
That longing for connection. Right.
That attempt to understand what went wrong,
Yeah.
and then Buckingham's go your own way.
Right.
Pure anger and hurt.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're right there with them,
Yeah.
experiencing the highs and lows of their
Right.
breakup in real time.
It's so incredible how dreams can be both melancholic and empowering
Uh-huh.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Like there's sadness there,
Yeah.
but also this sense of acceptance
Totally.
and a determination to move on.
Mm.
And the fans absolutely felt that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Rumors became one of the best-selling albums ever,
Of course.
and it's partly because it felt so real,
Yeah.
so raw.
Exactly. It's like people recognized themselves in those songs.
Yeah.
You know, their own heartbreaks and struggles.
Oh, what?
And that's something Stevie Nicks has always been brilliant at.
Right.
Taking very specific personal experiences
Yeah.
and turning them into universal stories that resonate with everyone.
But even after they broke up, that volatile energy between Nicks and Buckingham.
Continue to impact Fleetwood Mac's sound.
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine being in the studio with them.
Oh, yeah.
All that history.
Yeah.
All of those unresolved feelings.
It must have been intense.
Intense.
Yeah, to be a fly on the wall during those recording sessions.
Really.
But you know what? It's that dynamic, that push and pull
Right.
that gave their music a depth and complexity
Yeah.
that you just can't replicate.
Okay, so Lindsay Buckingham is clearly a major figure
Oh, yeah.
in Stevie Nicks' life and music.
Huge.
But there's another relationship
Okay.
that, although shorter,
Mhm.
had a huge impact on her.
Right.
And that's with J.D. Souther.
Ah, J.D. Souther.
Yeah.
Now, he was already a successful songwriter.
Okay.
Having penned hits for the Eagles,
Wow.
Nicks met him in the L.A. music scene
Right.
in the early 70s.
Yeah.
And they connected on a deep artistic level.
But this relationship wasn't just about romantic love.
Right, no.
This is where we see Nicks grappling with something much bigger.
Yeah.
The challenges women faced in the male-dominated music industry.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, in the sources that you provided,
Mm-hmm.
one article actually described an incident
Okay.
where Souther got preferential treatment at a recording studio
Really?
simply because he was a man.
Wow.
And you can feel that frustration, that
Yeah.
burning desire to be recognized for her talent
Right?
and not just her looks or her relationships.
Wow.
In songs like Edge of 17.
Edge of 17.
Yeah.
That pulsing guitar, the haunting vocals,
Mm-hmm.
and lyrics like, just like the white-winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing, ooh, ooh, baby, ooh, says you.
Yeah.
You can feel her determination,
Yes.
her strength, her refusal to be silenced in that song.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that fight for recognition, for a place at the table,
Yeah.
in a world that often tried to diminish her,
Right.
that becomes a recurring theme throughout her music. It adds another layer to understanding her work, knowing the context in which she was creating.
Okay, we've got Lindsay, JD,
Right.
but we can't talk about Stevie Nicks and Men without mentioning Mick Fleetwood.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, talk about keeping things interesting within the band.
Oh, this is where the drama dial gets cranked up.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Nicks and Fleetwood's affair was a whirlwind of passion
All right.
against the backdrop of Fleetwood Mac's meteoric rise.
Yeah.
Remember, both of them were going through some serious personal stuff at the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, their affair just added fuel to the fire.
It's almost like they were living out a rock and roll soap opera.
Absolutely.
You have to wonder, though,
Yeah.
how much of that emotional intensity made its way into their music?
Right.
Did their personal turmoil fuel their creativity, or was it just pure chaos?
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what's undeniable is
Yeah.
that their music from this period is incredibly raw
Right.
and emotionally charged.
Yeah.
You can practically feel the tension,
Yeah.
the heartbreak, the passion in their performances.
And the fact that they managed to maintain a professional relationship
Yes.
and even a friendship
Yeah.
after everything they went through
I know.
is pretty amazing.
It is.
Not many people could pull that off,
No.
especially under the glare of the spotlight.
Uh-huh.
Talk about resilience.
You know, it speaks to a level of maturity
Yeah.
and mutual respect that you
Yes.
don't always see
Right.
in these kinds of situations.
Right.
But, you know,
Yeah.
that's Stevie Nicks for you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Always finding a way to rise above the drama
Yeah.
and keep creating.
Totally.
And that brings us to another fascinating chapter.
Okay.
Her relationship with Don Henley,
Okay.
the drummer for the Eagles.
Ah, Don Henley.
Yes.
Another musical powerhouse.
Absolutely.
This is what you would call a match made in rock and roll heaven.
Right.
At least on the surface.
Oh,
But as we know, things are rarely that simple.
no.
Especially when you throw fame,
Yeah.
demanding careers,
Right.
and personal demons into the mix.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, and this relationship, much like the others,
Right.
wasn't without its complexities.
Okay.
You know, they were both at the top of their game,
Yeah.
constantly on the road,
Right.
trying to navigate the pressures of superstardom.
Right.
It's not hard to see why their romance was so intense and
Yeah.
ultimately so tumultuous.
And then there's the fact that Nicks got pregnant
Yes.
and chose to terminate the pregnancy.
Right.
It's a decision that undoubtedly had a profound impact on both of them,
Oh, yeah.
both personally
Of course.
and creatively.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a rawness and vulnerability in
Yep.
some of their songs from this era
Right.
that seem to directly address those complex emotions, regret, what ifs,
Yeah.
the weight of choices made under difficult circumstances.
This part of her life,
Yeah.
her relationship with Don Henley, is definitely worth exploring further.
Yes.
And we will.
Okay.
But first,
Yeah.
let's take a look at another man
Okay.
who played a crucial role,
Okay.
not just in Stevie Nicks' personal life,
Mm-hmm.
but also in shaping her solo career.
Right.
Jimmy Iovine.
Jimmy Iovine.
Yeah.
A name synonymous with musical innovation and success.
Right.
He was the producer behind Nicks's debut solo album,
Right.
Belladonna.
Yeah.
And their chemistry, both professionally and romantically, was undeniable.
And that album was huge.
It was.
Belladonna launched Nicks into superstardom as a solo artist.
Yes.
I can only imagine the energy in the studio with those two strong personalities
Ooh, yeah.
working together,
Yeah.
blending their creative visions.
Right.
Sparks must have been flying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, their relationship blurred the lines between personal and professional.
Right.
And that tension, that creative friction
Yeah.
is palpable in the music.
Yeah.
It's hard to say where the producer's guidance ends
Right.
and the lover's influence begins,
Right.
but the result is undeniably magical.
But that same intensity that fueled their creativity also led to conflict.
Right.
Both Nicks and Iovine were used to being in control.
Oh, yeah.
And that dynamic ultimately led to their separation.
It did.
Even so,
Yeah.
they managed to maintain a professional relationship, continuing to collaborate on future projects.
It's a testament to their mutual respect
Yeah.
and shared love of music.
Right.
But it also highlights just how complex and intertwined
Yeah.
Stevie Nicks' personal and professional lives were.
Totally.
She clearly wasn't afraid to mix business with pleasure.
Yeah.
And in some ways, that fearlessness contributed to her unique artistry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've covered Lindsay Buckingham,
Mm-hmm.
J.D. Souther,
Yes.
Mick Fleetwood,
Right.
and Don Henley.
Yes.
But Stevie Nicks' story is full of surprising turns
Oh, yeah.
and unexpected connections.
It is.
Let's talk about Kim Anderson, a man who entered her life during a time of profound grief and loss.
This relationship is particularly poignant
Yeah.
because it wasn't born out of romantic love
Right.
in the traditional sense.
Right.
Nicks married Anderson shortly after the death of her best friend, Robin,
Wow.
who was Anderson's wife.
Okay.
It was an impulsive act,
Okay.
driven by a desire to care for her friend's son, Matthew,
Yeah.
and keep Robin's memory alive.
It's heartbreaking, really.
Yeah.
You can see how Nicks, in her grief,
Mm-hmm.
was searching for a way to hold on to her friend
Right.
and create a sense of family for Matthew.
Yes.
But ultimately, it was a decision fueled by emotion
Yeah.
rather than logic.
Right.
And as we know, those rarely end well.
They don't.
Nicks and Anderson were simply incompatible.
Yeah.
And the weight of their shared grief, while initially binding them together,
Mm-hmm.
eventually proved too heavy to bear.
It did.
Their marriage was short-lived,
Yes.
but it left a lasting impact on Nicks,
Of course.
both personally and in how she viewed love and loss.
Yeah, but it speaks volumes about her character, though.
Yeah.
That she continued to be a presence in Matthew's life,
Right.
honoring the promise she made to her best friend.
Yeah.
That sense of loyalty and compassion,
Mhm.
even in the face of her own heartbreak,
Right.
is truly remarkable.
It is.
It reminds us that Stevie Nicks, despite her rock star persona,
Yeah.
is ultimately a deeply feeling, deeply human person.
Yeah.
Someone who isn't afraid to embrace vulnerability,
Right,
to
yeah.
make mistakes, and
Yeah.
to learn from them.
So we've delved into some of the most significant relationships in Stevie Nicks' life.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one more we need to talk about.
Okay.
One that she herself has described as the great love of her life.
Right.
Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh.
Yeah.
The legendary guitarist for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Now, this relationship was a force of nature,
Okay.
a whirlwind of shared passion,
Mm-hmm.
creativity,
Right.
and unfortunately struggle. You know, they were soulmates in many ways.
Yeah.
But their connection was as tumultuous as it was intense.
This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Because their love story wasn't just a personal one.
Right.
It was a creative one, too.
Yes.
They inspired each other's music,
Yeah.
challenged each other's boundaries, and pushed each other to new heights.
Right.
But their shared demons,
Right.
particularly their struggles with addiction,
Yes.
ultimately proves to be too much to overcome.
Yes, this is a love story that's both beautiful and tragic.
Yeah.
They clearly adored each other,
Yeah.
but their individual battles ultimately forced them apart.
Right.
It's a stark reminder that even the deepest love
Yeah.
sometimes isn't enough to conquer personal demons.
Wow. So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Exploring some truly intense and influential relationships.
Yeah.
But now, the big question is,
Okay.
how did all of this love and heartbreak actually manifest in Stevie Nicks' music?
That's what we'll dive into next. Let's get into the music itself and see how these men,
Yeah.
these experiences, inspired some of the most iconic songs ever written.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the men who shaped Stevie Nicks' life.
Right.
But now let's get into the music itself.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how these relationships, all these intense emotions,
Right.
actually played out in her songwriting.
Yeah, that's where the real magic happens, right?
Yeah.
Seeing how she transforms personal experiences into
Yeah.
art that resonates with millions.
Right.
And we have so much to explore,
Right.
you know, from the early days with Lindsay Buckingham
Right.
to her passionate romance with Joe Walsh.
Right. And let's start with Dreams,
Okay.
which is arguably her most iconic song.
It is.
It was written during the tumultuous recording of Rumors,
Yes.
right in the middle of her breakup with Buckingham.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people see Dreams as this classic heartbreak anthem.
Right.
But what's interesting is that it's not just about sadness and loss, right?
There's a deeper layer there.
Yeah.
A sense of reflection and wisdom.
Okay.
Remember that line, players only love you when they're playing.
Right.
It suggests a certain maturity,
Yeah.
A recognition of unhealthy patterns in the relationship.
And the way she sings, it's so calm,
Yeah.
almost ethereal.
Right.
Like she's already on the other side of the heartbreak, finding strength and acceptance.
Yeah.
It's no wonder that song became such a massive hit.
Of course.
People connect with that kind of resilience,
Yeah.
that ability to find beauty even in pain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can't talk about dreams without mentioning Go Your Own Way.
Right.
Buckingham's response to their breakup.
Right.
If Dreams is about finding peace amidst chaos,
Yeah.
Go Your Own Way is pure raw emotion,
Right.
anger, resentment,
Mm-hmm.
a refusal to let go.
It's almost like they're having this musical conversation,
Yeah.
each song offering a different perspective
Right.
on the same shared experience.
And that's what makes Rumors so brilliant.
It is.
It captures the complexities
Yeah.
of a relationship falling apart.
Right.
The push and pull between two people who love each other
Yeah.
but can't seem to make it work.
And then you have Silver Springs,
Right.
which wasn't even originally included on Rumors.
Oh, wow.
It was relegated to the B-side of Go Your Own Way,
Okay.
but became a fan favorite and a concert staple.
I see.
It's raw,
Yeah.
almost desperate
Yeah.
in its plea for reconciliation.
Right.
That line, "Time cast a spell on you, but you won't forget me,"
Right.
just cuts right through you.
He does.
It speaks to that lingering hope,
Right.
that inability to completely let go,
Mm-hmm.
even when you know you should.
Yeah.
You know, I read somewhere that Nicks was devastated
Really.
when they didn't include Silver Springs on the album.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you can understand why.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful song.
It is.
So emotionally charged.
But its exclusion from the album almost adds to its mystique, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
It becomes this hidden treasure,
Right.
a glimpse into the raw vulnerability that was simmering
Yeah.
beneath the surface of Rumors.
Okay, so we've covered the Buckingham Nicks saga.
Right.
But what about J.D. Souther?
Okay.
How did that relationship influence Nicks's music?
Yeah.
We mentioned earlier that she witnessed firsthand
Yes.
the challenges women faced in the music industry
Right.
through him.
Yes. And that experience definitely shaped her songwriting.
Oh.
Think about Edge of 17,
Why?
a song that's often interpreted as a tribute to her uncle
Right.
and his death.
Yeah.
But there's also a deeper layer there,
Okay.
a sense of defiance and determination that
Yeah.
seems to connect to her experiences with Souther.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
The song's about facing your fears,
Right.
finding your own strength,
Mm-hmm.
and pushing through adversity.
Absolutely.
It's like she's saying, I'm not going to be silenced or pushed aside.
Right.
I'm going to make my own path.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that determination, that refusal to be defined by the expectations of others,
Right.
becomes a recurring theme
Yeah.
throughout her career.
It's interesting because Edge of 17 is also a song about desire and longing.
It is.
Do you think that reflects the intensity?
It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
The song captures that feeling of being on the precipice
Mhm.
of something new,
Right.
embracing the unknown,
Yeah.
even if it's a little scary.
Yeah.
And perhaps that mirrors the excitement
Yeah.
and uncertainty
Right.
of their connection.
Okay, so we have Lindsay Buckingham
Mhm.
and J.D. Souther.
Yeah,
But we can't forget about Mick Fleetwood.
right.
Their affair was a whirlwind.
It was.
And you have to wonder how it impacted
Yeah,
their creative dynamic
right.
within the band.
Right. It definitely added a layer of complexity
Yeah.
to the already intense atmosphere of Fleetwood Mac. And you can feel that in songs like Gold Dust Woman,
Okay.
which was written around the time their affair was coming to an end.
Oh, Gold Dust Woman.
Yeah,
That song is haunting.
it is.
It's about addiction, disillusionment,
Mm-hmm.
the dark side of fame.
Yeah.
Do you think that reflects what Nicks and Fleetwood were going through at the time?
It's hard to say for sure,
Yeah.
but there are definitely parallels.
Right.
Remember, they were both battling personal demons,
Right?
both grappling with the pressures of their sudden rise to stardom.
Right.
And those themes are woven into the fabric of Gold Dust Woman.
Yeah.
The feeling of being lost,
Yeah.
of searching for something to numb the pain.
It's a side of Stevie Nicks that we don't always see.
Yeah.
That darkness,
Right.
that vulnerability.
But it's what makes her music so compelling.
Totally.
She's not afraid to explore the shadows,
Yeah.
to reveal the less glamorous aspects of life.
Right.
And that's what makes her so relatable.
Absolutely. And it's interesting to think about how this period of turmoil both personally and within the band, ultimately led to some of their most iconic work.
Right.
It's like they were able to channel that chaos and heartbreak into something truly transformative. Okay, let's move on to another intense relationship. Don Henley.
Okay.
This was a mash made in rock and roll heaven.
It was.
But also fraught with challenges.
Right.
We talked earlier about Nick's pregnancy.
Yes.
And the difficult decisions she made to terminate it.
Right.
Did that experience come through in her music at all?
You know, many believe that Sarah was written, at least in part, about Henley and their unborn child.
Okay.
It's a deeply personal song.
Right.
Full of longing and regret. And the lyrics just a profound loss.
That line, and the child was enough for me to go on living.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. You can feel the weight of that decision.
Yeah.
The complex emotions she was grappling with.
And it's a reminder that behind the glamorous facade of rock and roll, these were real people with real lives, making difficult choices that had lasting consequences. Sarah is such a powerful song.
It is.
And it's a testament to Nicks's ability to channel her personal pain into something universal, something that resonates with anyone who's ever experienced loss or heartbreak.
Absolutely. And it's interesting to note that Henley also wrote a song called The Heart of the Matter, which is believed to be about his relationship with Nicks.
Wow.
It's a different perspective on the same story.
Yeah.
And together they offer a glimpse into the complexities of their love affair.
Okay, so we've covered Lindsay Buckingham, J.D. Souther, Mick Fleetwood, and Don Henley.
Yes.
All intense relationships.
Right.
That clearly influenced Stevie Nicks' music.
They did.
But now let's talk about Jimmy Iovine.
Okay.
A man who played a crucial role, not just in her personal life, but also in her solo career.
Yes. Iovine was the producer behind her debut solo album, Madonna.
Right.
And their chemistry, both professionally and romantically, was undeniable.
It was.
It's a time of immense creativity and personal exploration for Nicks. As she was stepping out from the shadow of Fleetwood Mac, establishing herself as a solo artist.
And that album is a masterpiece.
It is.
It's filled with hits, like Edge of 17, Leather and Lace, and Stop Dragging My Heart Around, her iconic duet with Tom Petty.
Right.
Do you think those songs reflect her relationship with Iovine at all?
I think it's safe to say that their connection, the blend of their creative energies, is woven into the fabric of that album. Madonna is a testament to Nicks's growth as an artist.
Right.
Her willingness to experiment and push boundaries.
But it wasn't all sunshine and roses, right?
Right.
Their relationship eventually ended.
It did.
And although they continued to collaborate professionally, there must have been some lingering tension.
Right.
Did that affect their later work together?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something we'll delve into as we continue our deep dive into Stevie Nicks' remarkable life and career.
We've talked about Lindsay Buckingham, J.D. Souther, Mick Fleetwood, Don Henley, and Jimmy Iovine.
Right.
All men who played significant roles in Stevie Nicks' life and music.
Yeah.
But before we move on, there's one more relationship we need to explore.
Right.
One that Nicks herself has called the great love of her life.
Okay.
Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh.
Yeah.
This relationship was a powerful force in Stevie Nicks' life, both personally and creatively. You know, they were kindred spirits, both incredibly talented musicians with a shared passion for rock and roll. But they also shared a darkness, struggle with addiction, which ultimately tore them apart.
It's heartbreaking, really.
It is.
They clearly loved each other deeply.
They did.
But sometimes love isn't enough
to
overcome those kinds of demons.
No, it's not.
I'm curious to see how their relationship, both the highs and the lows, manifested in her music.
Well, one song that many believe is about Joe Walsh is Has Anyone Ever Written Anything for You?
Okay.
It's a beautiful ballad full of longing and devotion. And the lyrics suggest a love that's both all-consuming and tinged with sadness.
That line.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever written anything for you that touched you like I do?
Right.
It's so raw.
It is.
So vulnerable.
Yeah.
You can almost feel the depth of her love for Walsh in those words.
Exactly. And it's interesting to note that Nicks has said in interviews that she wrote that song while watching Walsh work on his music. She was captivated by his talent, his passion, and the way he poured his soul into his art.
It's almost like she was witnessing his creative process as an act of love itself.
Right.
And that inspired her own songwriting.
Absolutely. And there are other songs from this era.
Okay.
Like Gold Dust Woman, which we discussed earlier.
Right.
That seem to reflect the turmoil and darkness they were both experiencing.
Right.
It's a song about addiction.
Yeah.
About losing yourself in the pursuit of escape.
Right.
And it's incredibly haunting.
It's interesting how Nicks can take these very personal, often painful experiences and transform them into art that speaks to universal truths.
Right.
Her songs resonate with people because they tap into those raw human emotions that we all feel.
They do.
Love, loss, heartbreak, the desire for connection.
That's the mark of a truly great artist, isn't it?
Yeah.
The ability to take the specific and make it universal.
Yeah.
And Nicks does that masterfully.
She does.
Her songs are like emotional landscapes, inviting us to explore the depths of her experiences.
Right.
And in doing so, confront our own.
Okay, so we've covered the key men in Stevie Nicks' life.
Right.
And how those relationships influenced her music.
Yes.
But there's another aspect to her artistry that I find really fascinating.
Okay.
Her stage presence.
Yeah.
She's known for her mystical, almost ethereal performances.
Right.
And I wonder how much of that persona is drawn from these relationships, from the love and loss she's experienced.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
Nicks' stage persona is definitely an extension of her artistry.
Okay.
And it's informed by her life experiences.
Right.
You know, she said in interviews that she sees her performances as a way to connect with her audience on a spiritual level, to create a shared experience of vulnerability and emotional release.
And she does that so effectively.
She does.
Her concerts are legendary, and people leave feeling like they've witnessed something truly special.
Right.
She has this incredible ability to transport her audience to another world, a world of magic and mystery.
And a lot of that magic comes from her willingness to be vulnerable.
Right.
To share her stories and her heart through her music.
Yeah.
She's not afraid to show her scars.
Right.
To let us see the messy, imperfect parts of herself.
Right.
And that's what makes her so relatable.
It's like she's giving us permission to embrace our own imperfections.
Yeah.
To find strength in our vulnerability.
Right.
And that's such a powerful message.
It is.
Especially in a world that often tells us to hide our flaws.
Yes.
And strive for unattainable perfection.
Exactly. And that's why her music continues to resonate with generation after generation.
Right.
You know, she speaks to the human condition.
Right.
To the things we all experience: love, loss, heartbreak, the search for meaning and connection.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here today. We've explored the key relationships in Stevie Nicks' life.
Right.
Delved into her music.
Yeah.
And uncovered the deep connection between her personal experiences and her artistry. It's been an amazing journey.
It has.
And what's remarkable is that Stevie Nicks is still creating.
Right.
Still evolving.
Right.
As an artist.
She is.
She's a true icon.
She is.
And her music continues to inspire and empower people all over the world.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean?
Yeah.
Stevie Nicks shows us that our experiences, even the painful ones, can be transformed into something beautiful and meaningful.
Right.
She teaches us to embrace vulnerability.
Yes.
To find strength in our imperfections and to never stop searching for connection.
Right.
What stands out to you about her story?
Yeah.
What song will you listen to differently now?
Right.
That's something to ponder as you continue your own deep dive into the world of Stevie Nicks.
Yes.
Until next time.